Hey everyone, it's Wendy Hutchinson with Alinea Life Coaching. I am an ascension guide, a healer, a podcast host, as you guys know, and also the author of my book, Finding the Path of Me. And I wanted to hop on today and talk a little bit about transformation and change, because everyone is going through a process of alchemy and transformation and change. You may be changing jobs, you may be changing your relationship with yourself or with others. You might be feeling called to step into more of your power and purpose instead of remaining the same. And so all of this can create a lot of uncertainty. And I believe transformation is always a good thing. But I wanted to talk a little bit today about how to navigate through these changing times, because I feel like everyone is kind of shifting right now. And it's what's really happening is we're coming back into connection with more of our authentic soul self, which means a lot of the things that we've been telling ourselves are limiting beliefs or our stories around our families or our personal relationships with our partners or our work. A lot of these narratives and a lot of these things are beginning to change, because what's happening is everyone is starting to kind of wake up a little bit and dial into their truth a little bit more. And as we do that, things start to shift, because as you peel away all the things that really aren't in alignment with who you are anymore, it requires you to make changes, and it can be so uncomfortable. So the first thing I wanted to offer you as you're going through these changes and transitions is to be really present to your feelings and to allow your feelings to come, because you're going to go through a range of feelings and emotions when you go through change. There's fear, because you don't really know what's coming or what the future is going to look like if your family dynamics are changing in any way, shape, or form, or your job situation or your finances. It could be a number of things that you're experiencing transitions and change in, right? And it's really hard for us to have faith that going forward, this is actually going to support us and not break us down. So the first thing really is to have faith in the process and to really feel your feelings as you're going through it. And I find that one of the tools that I have in my toolbox is to feel my feelings, but also be an observer of them, right? Because you don't want to be all emotional and throwing up on people around you, or saying hurtful things to people around you because you're in an emotional space. So my first offering is to really be present to your feelings and know that it's okay to have a wide range of emotions, sometimes all at once, and you're not crazy. But it can be really uncomfortable to go through transitions. And the main thing really is to be really present to our feelings, because then we can process them and hold them and comfort ourselves, and then allow them to release and process through. If you've been in the habit of pushing them down and shoving them down and ignoring them and avoiding them and staying busy, and if I don't look at it, it doesn't exist, it's just going to build and amplify in your personal experience, and it's also going to build and amplify in intensity. So where you could have nipped it in the bud and kind of massaged your way through it, whatever it is, the feeling, the experience, the transition, where it could have been handled easier and more gently, the more avoidance there is, the more in your face and the more aggressive and the more heightened emotion you're going to feel. So it's really up to you which direction you want to go in handling it. But if you have the stress tolerance to just sit with what you're feeling, that will be really helpful in allowing it to just process through. Another tool for me is I don't judge it, and I don't judge myself. And that can be hard sometimes for people. But my emotions are just signposts for areas in my personal life that I need to look at, or triggers or things that haven't been healed within me. So whenever there's a lot of feelings, I'm not going to go around saying mean things to people or being unkind or lashing out. That's really not who I want to be in my life and not how I want to show up. So I really find myself going more deeply inward and not lashing out. And also, when people around us are going through things, they might be lashing out at us. They might be, in an emotional space and say things that are unkind or do things that are unkind. And it's really important that we recognize, wow, that person is probably going through a really hard time, and try not to turn it into a personal story, because it's really easy to, right? So that's the second thing, is to be really mindful of how you're responding and interacting with the people around you as you go through these transitions. And if you are on the receiving end of emotional outbursts or unkind words or situations, it's really important. It can feel very personal, I'm not going to lie, but it's important to also know that maybe that person is just going through a lot, and just step back for a while until they figure their thing out, and the waters can kind of smooth out and calm down. So that's my second tip, right? Be really mindful of how you're responding and reacting and speaking to others as you're going through your transitional period, and then be mindful of how we interpret things that are coming at us. This is the holiday season, right? We're going into December 2023, and there's a lot of family gatherings. And when you get all of those personalities together, you have these histories, you have a really long trail of possible emotional wounding and trauma, maybe. And first of all, I want to remind you that it's a choice to put yourself in those situations. You may feel obligated and feel like you have to engage and participate. But if the situation that you're going into is harming you emotionally, hurting you, not supportive of your physical, mental, and emotional well-being, you can give yourself permission to step back and do something different this year. It's totally appropriate. People are going to have their feelings about it. You're going to hear about it. You'll probably be talked about. But if you have this inner strength to choose you, I encourage that you do so. Because when we get together with family, all the things come up, especially when there's alcohol involved, especially when everyone's together and everyone kind of reverts back to those childhood roles and patterns. And it's not always going to be a beautiful thing, right? It could be like you make your appearance and then you make an early exit, or someone says something, or someone shows up as themselves and you're so annoyed, right? But people can only be themselves, and we need to really understand and accept that people are going to show up like they always show up. So it's up to us to decide how we want to interact, how long we want to engage, and if it's appropriate to even go at all, right? But I found one of the things that has been really powerful for me is to check in and ask myself, what would be really supportive of me right now? And sometimes it looks like taking space and just allowing people to be upset with me because it's what's best for me right now, you know? So give yourself permission if you have your own family to maybe start your own traditions, or if everyone's going to be exposed to some big, crazy, drama-filled family event, maybe you can minimize your time. So that's the third thing I wanted to mention. Now, the fourth thing is about having faith through your transition and change. And by faith, I mean, a lot of times chess pieces are being moved on the board and events and situations are happening to move you towards a more aligned life. And these situations can trigger feelings, right, that are very amplified because it's kind of threatening maybe your security or maybe your sense of self, which might be fragile right now, or whatever it is, right? We're human beings and we have a lot of feelings, and situations can be uncomfortable and they can trigger us. But I wanted to speak to faith because I know that we're always being guided to make choices that are in alignment with our well-being and our life path and purpose. And with that knowing, I try to have faith in the unfolding. And I would get, oh gosh, for years, trust the process, regardless of what it looks like, regardless of the facts presenting to you in your reality. Trust the process, that everything is going to work out for your highest and best when you make aligned choices. So if you're going to keep engaging and going back into the fight, that's not aligned. And you're going to create more chaos and drama and a downward spiral that results from that, right? Or you can become an observer and just trust that the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, you have your back, and that it doesn't have to be a train wreck. It can be a beautiful unfolding for your next step, for your next mission, for your next calling, for your next thing, whatever that looks like, whether it's a relationship, maybe a beautiful person coming into your life, maybe you've lost friends over some sort of communication issue or something, but maybe that's making room, for the more aligned people to come in. Maybe, even though you can't see it, the universe is moving the chessboard pieces and creating a path for you. And I encourage you to trust the process, because that's what faith is, right? It's trust without confirmation or 100% knowing of the how, the when, the who, the why. Sometimes, most of the time, we're living in this now moment. There are so many potentials of what's possible for us. I choose to really hold the highest timeline. I choose to hold my alignment. I make choices that are supporting my journey forward and onward. And if I don't know the direction, I give myself permission to just take some space, get really silent, be present with myself. And if I don't know what's happening in the next week, month, 5 years, 10 years, which we don't, right? I know that I have control over what's happening right in here, right now in my life. And so that's what I focus on. What do I need right here, right now? And my internal dialogue is going to look like, I know that when I'm aligned, doors open for me. Everything works out. I know when I have faith going forward, I've got me, because I brought myself this far and I've overcome everything. And I know my purpose. I know my power. I know who I am. And I will always guide myself through thought, word, and action into my highest timeline and potential. So there's a tremendous element of faith and trust, which I'm going to encourage you to invite into your life. And if it's not something that you do easily, I'm going to encourage you to start small and just have positive thoughts and flex that muscle and believe in yourself and just keep integrating small incremental words of kindness, affirmation, gratitude into your life to kind of build that stress tolerance and flex that faith muscle, and the knowing that you've got this. You've got this. No matter how hard life slams you down, you've got this. And you're going to endure and heal and go forward and not look back. So as we close out the year, this was just a small offering of some tools on how to navigate forward through your transitions and change. Be gentle and kind to yourselves. And I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.